Let's make sure we protect each other's mental space. If you ever need me, just call. I'ma come running, give it my all. Love is love, God wins. Keep your vibrations high and watch how your blessings. Welcome to our team. What's it gonna be?
If you want to join the box, now's the time to join the box.
We can make it ice
Join the
cold.
box, join the box. Sit in for the convo.
Put it in a shot.
Let's build the space. I know what happens when we build the
Make
space.
it real bold.
Good things happen.
Oh, oh. Beef on
Beef
top
on top of beef.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's
Yes, it's
getting
getting messy.
We having
We're
black
having black
tea.
tea.
So won't you come
Won't you
and take
come?
a sip? We serving
We're
black
having black
tea.
tea.
But be careful not to slip. Black
Black
tea.
tea.
Taste the drama real good. Do you want some black tea? In the YT neighborhood. Truth is moving on them streets. But it's caught between them lies.
Tap in, one time, love is love. Namaste, Ashe, salutations, shalom, peace.
Who be sending round them
Hope everybody's doing
spies?
great out there. Tap in,
Beef on top of beef all day, every day.
tap in.
Troublemakers put on display. Do you want some black tea? Won't you come and take a sip? We
Doing great. Hope y'all
serving
feeling
black
great.
tea.
Hope everybody's out there in a loving aspiration of themselves. Reality is changing as we know it, and we have to get into that change. We have to start talking about this change that's taking place. Just let the room build up. Don't worry about it. You're going to enjoy today's segment. You know? Just vibe with me. Just vibe with me. If you're on TikTok right now, be sure to try to come into the box. If you can, hit that box, join the box, join the panel. Even if you just sit in the panel, it shows that we have people in the panel, people that's interested in this conversation, in this topic. Yes, there's a lot of negative going on in the world, and we will get to pointing that out. But you have to be still. Because peace still, right? Negative is going to be got negative. You're watching it right now. They're taking each other out. They cannot disrupt us anymore. Our mind is being governed or protected by the universe, so they can't get to us. They're trying different variations of psychological warfare, so on and so forth. And you can go back to Charlie Clerk. Charlie Clerk said that they are using mind control, right? So if you go back to the Ventura dude that was exposing government secrets, he said that in Alaska they was working on frequencies to try to figure out mind control. Maybe they achieved that. Maybe in some level they are using different variations of mind control in order to get people to act or do exactly what they want them to do. For instance, the poking of the Ukrainian girl on the train by that guy. He said the government put something in him, right? Then you go back and you look at the pandemic that took place, right? When they were injecting people with whatever they was injecting people with, the nanobite technology, who's to say that nanobite technology is not activated by some type of frequency that is in or out there? And when they turn on this frequency, it changes something inside of you. Furthermore, when you go and ask certain people who has got the, shots or whatever, they say that they feel like their spirit either was suppressed or lost after they got the third or fourth shot, however many they got. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things going on in this world, and there's a lot of things that we are not speaking about. And it's about time that we brought a lot of this to the light. For instance, the ascension process. Candace Owens is telling the truth about a lot of things. I don't know how far she dug or how much went into the whole frequency thing and how they're manipulating frequencies to keep us in lower vibration chakras, such as your root chakra, your survival chakra, so on and so forth. But we're going to get into the Ascension Master and why this is so important, because one of the titles of the Ascension Master was a Fisher King, kind of like Christ. Christ was a fisher of man, right? So when you get the Ascension Master, when you get this whole storyline of what we're supposed to be doing as we ascend, as our key Rasha energy, move, and as we move forward into a cosmic Christ consciousness, this is why this spiritual fight is happening right now. A lot of people are scared of the dark night of the soul. They are not into cleaning up their karma, correcting their shadow work, so on and so forth. So what you're seeing is a lot of projection happening right now. People are projecting what it is that they're doing onto other people so other people can have that karma of what it is that they're actually going through. And you see this at very high levels. But before we get into this, I do want to, warn you that if you are going through the ascension process, life might get a little bit harder for you. If you're following what your soul journey is instead of your carnal journey, then life might get a little bit harder, because even the Bible says that if you aim to please God, your friends will be few. I mean, if you aim to please God, your friends will be few, but if you aim to please man, your friends will be many. Now, I don't know who just spammed the account on TikTok, but we are going to close TikTok down and resurface it again. Apparently, putting a backdrop that says stage of spiritual ascension is considered to be misleading. But I thought we were all down here on a spiritual journey anyway. So, how can it be misleading if there is a spiritual journey down here? So, that's how you know one way right there that they are blocking this knowledge. Yeah, they tell you about freedom of speech. Yeah, they say that we have freedom of speech, but how do we have freedom of speech if you can label something as misleading? That's not freedom of speech. But how can we talk about prejudice, racism, and all this other stuff, and that's not misleading? How can we talk about the hate that's in the world, and that's not misleading? How can we ridicule, belittle, and put false allegations on people, and that's not misleading? But if I talk about spirituality, it's misleading. That doesn't make sense to me. But we're going to continue talking about it. Hopefully, we can get some type of protection or monetization around the page. I'm looking into some spiritual groups as far as college teachings of this to see if I can get them to back me on some of this stuff in order to get a higher level of protection around the page so we can talk about this. Knowledge and wisdom rules the air. We're in the Aquarius sky. It's about time that we put knowledge and wisdom back into it. The more that we try to dumb down the consciousness, the more that we try to suppress the consciousness of this world, the stronger it is going to get. You cannot do nothing about the solar flares, the gamma rays, so on and so forth. You can't do nothing about it. But the more we stop absorbing this knowledge that is being pushed back into the world, the stronger it is going to get. And it could lead to catastrophic events. I'm not saying that you should be afraid, because fear is a thing of the mind, and though a man thinketh, so shall it be. But what I'm saying is, let's approach this with an open mind that allows growth, because we're not growing right now. We're open-minded people in a closed-minded system. They don't want to fathom the things that we have to say. They don't want to believe that we're multidimensional beings operating other avatars in other dimensions at the same time that we are operating our human vessel, right? So a lot of the stuff that I am going to bring to you and a lot of stuff that I am going to speak about, you have to have an open mind. So for the sake of that, we're going to say for entertainment purposes only, right? But ideally, I want you guys to truly open your mind to the possibilities of endless possibilities. Okay?
An ascended master is a highly evolved group level of consciousness that exists beyond the dimensionalization of the time matrix. They are not in a form as we would know it. Ascended master is a term that is highly misunderstood within the metaphysical and New Age movement. The commonly known ascended masters that are channeled frequently are mostly our human spiritual elder brothers and sisters that have gone beyond the reincarnational wheel of the 3D Earth. However, mostly they are existing within the 5th to 7th dimensional bands of our future. They are considered more like a kindergarten ascended master, as they have not achieved the true ascended mastery that would take them outside of our dimensionalized system or time matrix. Many humans that think they are channeling masters are channeling astral entities in the 4th dimension that are misrepresenting themselves. This is why learning about our spiritual anatomy that explains the dimensional levels are important. One can employ more discernment with this understanding. The Guardians refer to the true meaning of ascended mastery as not being the term to those identities that have progressed into a partial ascension process. These beings are as valued and loved. However, it is more appropriate to understand them as our elder brothers assisting the human family in the current ascension process. Many of them do not possess the knowledge that resides within our own higher self-God identity. An ascended master is a highly evolved group level of consciousness that exists beyond the dimensionalization of the time matrix.
See? So if it's telling you that an ascended master is someone that exists beyond dimensional, right? That means they have reached a higher level of consciousness, which qualifies them as a teacher. This is not something that man can qualify. This ain't something that you can take a class for down here, right? When you are an ascendant master, it is something that the universe deemed you as a, not only is the universe going to observe the world through you, but the universe is telling you to be an exemplary measure of the idea of what we are supposed to walk and be like, right? So we are supposed to walk and be in the image of an ascended master, right? None of us are walking or being in the image of the ascended master because they keep on eliminating those of true ascension. They're giving us the idols. They're giving us the false gods. They're giving us the people that gave in to gluttony, greed, lust. And you're watching this right now play out. Even if you look at the social media and the stuff that's going on, look at what's happening with Kai Cenat, right? Look at what's happening with the Phase group, right? You know, they didn't stay loyal to that Banks guy. They didn't give him the 20%. They all got their money. They all live rent free. They all, you know, and then when it all said and done, they all played victim. Everybody played victim because the victimizing software has been released upon us. This is one of the agendas for the negative agency. So the negative agency has released a frequency of victimizing, and everybody that's on that frequency, you can see them going out attacking people. And then if that person attacks back, they turn around and play the victim. You can watch this in society right now, you know, and then you have those who are using other people's traumas as a means for their survival or their currency or their money. You're watching this right now. It's all playing out right now. Everything that the Bible told us was going to happen is happening in this time right now. That's probably why they're so scared of the biblical text. That's probably why they want us to get out of the book now, because everything that Christ talked about in that book, from the beginning of that book to the end of that book, Jeremiah, the first 5 books and the New Testament, all of it is happening right now. All of it. Look at different continents. You have people showing up to be false Noahs, building arks. You have people coming out to be false Christ. You have people coming out to be all of this, right? And all Christ did, everything that's in the Bible that we labeled as a miracle, if you go look up the definition of miracle, it was nothing but to reveal the truth. That's what the Greek looked at the definition of miracle, to reveal the truth. So Christ was revealing the truth of everything, and they called it a miracle. And then because they changed what a miracle truly is, we now have a misconstrued conception of what a miracle is. When a miracle is nothing to reveal the truth. If we're living in an ugly world and the truth is being revealed to us, you don't see a heavy notion of people journeying for truth. You don't see a heavy notion of people fighting for truth. People want the truth. Regardless of their flesh, regardless of anything else, people want the truth. Look at how much Candace Owens is putting herself on the line for the truth, right? This can possibly get her taken out, because the same people that she's speaking up against is the same people that is controlling the narrative of so many situations. When you have odd situations like someone just traveling many, many miles away to pew pew up a dollar store and nobody knows what's going on, but nobody want to look into possible mind control. Nobody want to look into that. Is it possible? Yes, it is. But if you speak about it, you're wrong.
Ascended Master in Theosophy Teachings 1. From the Omniversal Emerald Guardian perspective, the Ascended Masters and Chohans of the Seven Rays that are referenced in the Theosophy teachings of Madame Blavatsky during the late 1800s, as well as Alice Bailey and others, are considered to have begun as benevolent communications transmitted from partially ascended humans, and over time, hijacked, misinterpreted and filled with misinformation being transmitted from fallen entities on the astral plane or NAA versions of cloned copies of the original Rishikresha identities. Therefore, during the dark aeon of spiritual warfare made against humanity, many of these ascended master identities were captured and used by the NAA to confuse awakening humans during the ascension cycle. These groups had lost their Rishikresha template and solar logos embodiment during NAA invasion. Thus they are partially ascended masters because they have mastered material reality by ascending beyond the 3D earth plane, but have aspects that are trapped in future timelines or in the phantom areas. Thus, they have been unable to reclaim spiritual body parts and ascend out of the universal time matrix, until very recently.
See, that's telling you right there that certain entities was trapped in this physical plane, right? Certain entities was trapped in the vessels of mankind, and they were waiting for this time to come so they can stage their coup, right? So now what you're seeing as a physical conflict or whatever we see in this physical world, it's really the entities that is trying to force their way into the different variations of kingdom of heavens, or what you would consider to be the heavens, right? This is why you have people that come out and say, we're going to finally crack that glass ceiling, right? This is why you have people that come out and say, I'm going to be the last rightful heir, right? And when you look at the plot and the scheme, nothing new is under the sun, right? You have a president that is disguising a plan so he can be the last seated president of our country, right? He wants to be the last seated president of our country, right? So when you sit back and you go back and you look at the sit down that he had with the president of Ukraine, and you look at the joke that he made when he said, oh, so because y'all at war, you can't change the seat, right? So basically that gave him an idea. If we go into war while he's in office, and this war lasts for 8 years, 10 years, however long, as long as we are titled under war, we can't have another election. So when you see everything that's about to play out in the next 3 years, just remember, it was all part of a bigger plan. It was all part of a bigger scheme, right? If you go back to Allison Crowley wrote a very descriptive plan. And that plan was to create a one world order by the Third World War. So if you see them pushing for another world war, then this is the one that they're saying is going to cause a one world order. Because that was a plan all along that was descripted in the Baphomet. See, a lot of y'all don't read this stuff. A lot of y'all haven't dug into this stuff. But the great secret, the great plot, even if you go back to the Georgia Guidestones to lower the population by 95%, so on and so forth, all of this is a plan. All of this is a scheme. All of this is a gimmick. That's why the world is one big stage. That's why I say it's nothing new under the sun. That's why I'm not shocked by anything that's happening. Is due to the simple fact that I know that all of this is pre-scripted. It is pre-scripted. The only way Christ can reveal himself is the Antichrist reveal himself first. So if Christ is walking around in the flesh, the Antichrist will reveal himself first before the Christ reveals himself. Why? Because the Antichrist thinks that he can be Christ. So therefore, the Antichrist will try to come and say, your God did nothing for you, and I did all of this. Why? Because of jealousy. Because he wants to be of God. He wants the praisals of God. So if Antichrist walks around in the form of man, then man will reveal himself as your savior, as opposed to giving the power to something higher, right? So man will say, I am your savior. I am your God. I am this. And you're watching that right now. And different people. You're watching that Luciferian energy, that Luciferian bloodline. You're watching that. If the Titans has awoken, if a old ancient energy from Atlantis has awoken, then surely those who have conquered us have known that we would awaken, right? If you go back to Lemuria and you go back to Atlantis and you go back to Queen Mu and you go back to Athenia and so on and so forth, you will find the same thing repeated in our history, right? And they don't want to dig into the knowledge of this. They don't want to tell you about this. It's so hard to learn about this because they're eliminating books even as we speak, right? So now those few who do know about the fragments of true history of this world, they have been getting eliminated for eons now. You go back to the Jujitsuits, you go back to the Illuminati, you go back, the Illuminati was formed for the Jujitsuits. It's two tails of one coin. It's the same coin. They just pretending like they're against each other when really they're against us. They're against us. They're playing God and destroying God's real people. There's a reason why X marks the spot. There's a reason why those eclipse cross past certain patterns in America. There's a reason why certain markers was given in America. There's a reason why 80% of the Grand Canyon is not visible. There's a reason why there's cutoffs. Go play the game of Risk. If you go play the game of Risk, you will see that all continents was connected and you can get to certain points from certain areas on that continent from going to these different locations. Certain sandbars that was created, right? If you go up to Alaska, you can literally stand at one point of Alaska and look over and see Russia, right? So everything that they told us is false. The map is not as big as they say it is. They falsified how big Russia truly was. Russia is not as big as they say it is. Africa is mostly made up of water and don't even have as much land as they make it seem. Africa is a dying place. It never was a place of life. So life cannot come from Africa because it's not a place of life. If you go back, you look at something that saved people, it was corn. Corn saved people. If you look at where corn is grown, it will show you that North America and South America has the highest levels of corn. When you look at cropping, when you look at who traveled where, it was a lot of medicine that came out of America that saved these other continents that are now against us. We want and help them rebuild their societies when they were falling apart. When everything came and they started collapsing to different diseases and stuff, we want to help them. Go look at the book of Israel. There was a lot of diseases that came from the north. Why are we not getting credit for nothing? Why is it Consumer Digest America? Why does it seem like the same people who is beneficial in the fixing of the world is being corrupted to look negative, right? Think about it. Blueface gets out of jail and he get praised. King Harris gets out of jail and he get praised. Why are they glorifying all of the fuck ups? Look at the new SpongeBob. The new SpongeBob tells you, and this is a message that they're sending to each other. The new SpongeBob tells you, right, that Epstein is still alive. The new SpongeBob tells you that. Why? Because first of all, SpongeBob and the address to Bikini Bottom is the same address to what? Yes, you right. Nickelodeon is in the shape of what island? Absolutely. So if you see that that's in the shape of that, then that means it's supported by that. So if you see a SpongeBob movie, you know what it's supported by. And then you put Sexy Red on there, or what, not her name, or Ice Spice on there, and she's saying big got, big got, big got, big got, big. She's not saying big guy. She's saying big got. And everybody knows what a got is. So they're secretly fucking up the frequency of our kids by subliminal messaging in cartoons. And we still ain't pick it up yet. They did it with us, with Bugs Bunny and all those other cartoons, Looney Tunes, so on and so forth, right? They did it with us, and they're doing it to our kids. And we don't want to stand for nothing, so we keep falling for anything. And that's probably why we're so mad at each other. It's because we keep falling for the bullshit and nobody knows how to get out of it. And we just keep falling for it. But let's keep listening, because this is about the ascension process. This is about growth.
The Guardians do not reference partially ascended humans with egoic rays as Christos, God creators, although there is controversy about the usage of that label in the Ascended Master teachings, which have been adapted for use in supporting the Luciferian bloodline ideology practiced by some of the Antichrist secret societies and power elite. This is referred to as the New Age hijack by Luciferian entities. From the third-dimensional human perspective, these partially ascended consciousness levels would appear as godlike. Madame Blavatsky's body of work began with intentions of humanitarian benevolence, and later developed into biases based upon her beliefs of the Luciferian doctrine. She was an contactee and experiencer that received ancient wisdom directly from the Kashmir Tibetan masters in the 10th Stargate network, but was tricked into believing that Lucifer, aka Thoth, was the source of this knowledge and thus, the esoteric light bearer and liberator of humanity. Obviously, from the Christos Guardian position, NAA's Thoth is the archetypal creation of Lucifer, and he is the trickster, deceiver, and enslaver of humanity.
Now, don't that sound like Loki?
Doctrine is falsifying the origins.
Don't that sound like Loki? If Thoth was the trickster, if Thoth was this, that's the same as Loki. If Thoth is a representation of Lucifer, and Thoth is Loki, and Lucifer is like, it's all the same, right? That means someone tricked us, right? When you look at Loki and you look at the trickery that Loki played, remember, Loki was able to convince the people that he was Odin for a long time. So who's to say that we're not under a Loki effect right now? Who's to say that the same people who we look at as our heroes is not playing the reverse, duality role? It's happening. It's all happening right now, and it's been happening since the Galactic Wars. And if you don't know what the Galactic Wars is, you don't need to know what the Galactic Wars is. Let me tell you at different points where times have changed. And I'm going to base it off of your history so you can have a greater understanding of it, okay? I'm going to base this off of the history that you know, right? Let's go back to 95, right? There was a big change in 1994 that took place, and nobody recognized it. Nobody seen it, right? But the movie showed it, right? Look at when Men in Black came out. Look at when Blade came out, the Daywalkers, right? Look at when Terminator came out, right? That's because something changed. And Orion Belt, whatever galactic fight was going on, it changed. And we seen that change in our movies. We didn't notice it. We didn't pick it up, but they put it in the movies that something changed, something reset, right? And then if you come closer to 2000, what happened in 2000? When the Millennium Crisis was about to take place, they came out with movies that was about blackouts, right? Oh, let's fast forward to 2012, right? The day the Earth stood still, right? They come out with movies to show you what they're not showing you. Look at how the cartoons do it, right? The cartoons do it. Why do you think Dragon Ball Z is Dragon Ball Z, right? 7 Dragon Balls. Ironically, you have 7 chakras. If you are to put all those chakras together, Shimron appears. Shimron is a dragon that flies in the sky in the 808 figure that's eating its own tail. And Shimron gives you a wish if you're able to collect all 7 Dragon Balls that's spread out throughout the unit. Come on. Come on. You're putting this right in our face, but you telling me that chakra systems and all of this stuff is not real? You telling me that our DNA is not connected to something greater? You telling me that God breathed the essence of the Holy Spirit in us, but we nothing more than dirt? That what you telling me? It doesn't make sense. We have to be greater because he breathed something great within inside of us. So why are we not evolving? I keep on trying to figure out, why are we not ascending? Why are we not becoming better people? It's not making no sense. It's not making no sense. If we already know that our ancestors fought for us to have equal rights, why are we not equal? Why are we still divided? Why are we still separated? If we know that our ancestors fought for us to have unity, why didn't we put down the weapons yet? Why didn't we stop fighting yet? Why is war still evident? This is not making sense. Tell me it's making sense to you that so many people witness so much hate. This is why I walked away from my family. This is why I walked away from my family, because I never understood it. How do y'all gather every freaking funeral and say, it's sad that we had to come together like this and we should do this more often, but you never see the fucking more often into the next funeral. You never see it again into the next funeral. We gather for mourning, but we never gather for celebration. We stopped that. Remember in 94, we used to have block parties. In 94, they used to have, now what they do, they set up people at the block party so that way a pew can happen. So we never having a fucking good time. Every time you think about putting an event together, what you think about? The wrong person coming, the wrong people popping up. Why we don't have great communities? What did they sell us? What did they sell to us? If we're products of our environment, what is not being put in the environment that's fucking us up? It's love. Everybody's putting hate, regret. You raising your kid to be something that you think they father not, or you raising your kid to resent their father, or you raising your kid to resent their mother, you raising that only backfires on you. And now you wondering why so many kids don't like the parent that they got and can't get to the parent that they don't got, because the parent that they got, then it's all fucked up. We did shit out of feelings and emotions, and now that we have to get out of the operation of feelings and emotions, we fighting the logical thing to do. The logical thing to do is admit that we fucked up collectively, and we need to all do better. We're not talking to each other better. We don't have no empathy for each other. I watched somebody on messy TikTok take their own life, and I'm thinking, surely this is going to bring about change to messy TikTok. They're going to realize how powerful their tongues are, and they're going to start talking to each other with compassion. Nope. All they did was create another fucking fight. That's it. Well, now I'm gonna fight about this. What the fuck? What? Well, that gives me something to fight about. What? It's not making sense. It's not making sense. And I'm gonna need us to start doing the shit that makes sense.
Further, there are special groupings of ascended masters that are called the Chohans of the 7-ray system in Ursa Major that are assigned as the consciousness principles held within the spectrum of each ray or spectrum of frequency. Chohan is a Sanskrit term meaning Lord. These solar Rishi masters define the laws on their frequency ray identity, and through them, the light of the divine source energy is designed to flow to humankind. Sadly, when the universal time matrix was invaded, the Chohan's consciousness bodies were captured, cloned, copied, and trapped in the phantom matrix in ways they were unable to function in their true form and function as intelligently designed by God Creator. Thus, they are referred to as fallen ascended masters, or they are cloned light holograms that are used by the NAA to masquerade as ascended masters in order to hijack the New Age, Ascension, and Disclosure community. See New Age, Ascension, Disclosure Hijack and Return of Solar Rishi. The Voice of I Am reference. In 1937, the voice of the I Am
So
as the
we had a lot of different points in our history of this world. There was a lot of different key points, key markers where the universe has always sent someone down here for to be a greater voice, to be a greater image. The world don't want that. If you go back, history repeats itself, right? If you go back and you look at what we chose, right? We chose lust, we chose greed, we chose gluttony. You know, maybe the choosing of, you know, the bandit was a reflection of what we chose in this world, right? Christ was knowledge, wisdom, logic, right? But we didn't chose that, right? When Pilate Caesar gave the choice, what did we choose? We chose the unaliver, right? So what was released in this world? Unaliving, right? When it was time for the cross, right? The two other people, the two eyes on the cross was chosen, right? We chose, you know, we chose to get rid of what is the representation of Christ: knowledge, wisdom, love. We chose to get rid of that. And now love has come back so strong that a lot of y'all got to get right with yourself. And y'all can't get right with yourself because y'all can't find the love in yourself no more. So y'all looking for somebody outside yourself to provide y'all with the love that y'all can't find in yourself no more. Damn. Did I say a lot? Did I say a lot? I think I said a lot. Huh? When you get to the dark night of the soul and the fragments of that, oh, we're going to get into all of this. We're going to break all of this down. See, this is why they try to push me off of TikTok. They don't want y'all to have this knowledge. They don't want y'all to have this level of growth inside yourself. That's why they never talked about the knowledge that I spit over here. That's why all of them came against us, but they never talked about the level of knowledge that I was talking about. It was all based off of their feelings and emotions. Me kissing their ass or catering to them. He didn't talk to me nice enough. He wasn't sweet enough to me. He didn't say the things I wanted to hear. But they never talked about the knowledge. So we got to talk about the knowledge that they refuse to admit is over here.
During the first week of October, 2022, we entered the next stages of dark matter planetary initiation of the Starry Night Dark Firmament, which is the Emerald Guardian's mission upgrade specific to the planetary restoration of the Coronasphere, which includes reclaiming the Holy Mother Sophia's Magi Grail Queen architecture and reclaiming her triple solar Sophianic body parts. Successful events building during the recent weeks that included the confrontation in Malta, the extraction of Black Dragon Queen satanic architecture overlaid in the United Kingdom, and the subsequent relocation of the 5D Vatican Stargate that was placed directly under Cosmic Christos Emerald founder control, has made this Starry Night dark matter activation possible. See Rasha Body. The authentic Cosmic Mother Dragon is birthing forth the divine fire water in.
So once again, you can go into like the stories of Sophie's dragons. If you get into Dolores Cannon, she'll tell you a lot about Sophie's dragon and the Mother Sophie, the Holy Mother Sophie, so on and so forth. It'll tell you about the dragons. And I wanted to talk about a specific dragon bloodline. I know what bloodline you're in or a part of because the dragon is not of a physical creature. The dragon is inside of you. The dragon is inside of your eyes. When I look into certain people's eyes, I can see what dragon they are a part of. A lot of people are dark on this planet, but if anybody ever get a chance to look into my eyes, you will see a gold reflection because I am of a ancient bloodline that is of a gold reflected color. My kundalini is gold. It absorbs all the colors of the light. If you absorb all the colors of the light, it will reflect gold, kind of like the sun, right? So when you are accepting of all the spectrums of the light, you will be of a copper, the gold copper, because I'm accepting the dark and the light of this world. I'm accepting both sides of me, the masculine and the feminine. When you absorb all of that, you are going to be of a copper color because of the absorbing of it. It's the same thing as a plant. A plant reflects green. Why? Because a plant is doing what? It's accepting every color but green according to photosynthesis. So it's reflecting the color that it is rejecting. And if you can apply that to the sky, if you can apply that to anything else, then you might understand the different colors and the different frequencies that is actually moving this plane, the Lie lines that are moving this plane. You can feel when different Lie lines are being tampered with because we're multidimensional beings. So when they're fucking with something in Chicago and the Lie lines is changing, I can feel that in my heart chakra. You get what I'm saying? When they're messing with something in Florida and they're messing with the Lie lines in Florida, I can feel that in my root chakra, right? But a lot of people don't know the connection that we have with Mother Earth, with Gaia. So we tend to drift into different perspectives of what is, always was, and always will be. You are connected to the universe. Your headaches are not just headaches. When something is going on in the northern part of our galaxy, you might get a headache in your frontal lobe. When something is going on in the southern part of our galaxy, you might get a headache in the back of your head, right? If you're connected, because our minds is connected to the universe and our bodies is connected to the earth. So through your body, you'll feel what the earth is going through, but through your mind, you'll feel what the universe is going through. One's in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. One's in the chat if you understand what I just said. We are fascinating creatures or beings.
The cosmic clock from the first God world creation is synchronizing with this universal time matrix in order to begin the next stage of planetary ascension that awakens the Eucharistic spiritual body flame codes within the angelic human DNA. Thus, the cosmic clock Ryush initiation is also considered the full spectrum planetary Eucharistic activation, because it opens and activates a series of density locks and time codes being directed as the result of the return of the Emerald Order.
And I want y'all to understand exactly what's happening. We don't operate like women, and women don't operate like us. A woman vessel operates on feminine energy, therefore, they're going to operate off of darkness and water, right? Because that's how a woman operates. So when you want to enhance a woman's ability inside of her body, you're going to do that with salt water and darkness. A lot of women are attracted to that and that. So it goes together, right? But when you're doing like the body of a man, right? It's forged in flames. So it's fire, right? That's where the Christ comes from. That's where all of these different stories come from, right? It's what comes out of the flame. So we have to be heated up, right? For our, it's the same thing that happens. Look at the different movies. Go back to Stranger Things. That's why I say they put it in everything, right? In Stranger Things, what did they have to do to get the power to come out of the what you call them, the demigorgons or the person, right? They had to heat them up, right? If you go back to other movies, they did the same thing, right? If you go back to Blade, what happened? Right. If you go back to all these other movies, what are they showing? They are showing either a RNA awakening in our DNA. Go to Doom, go to Duke Nukem, go to these different things. They're saying not everyone is going to awaken to the positive abilities, right? Some people are creating monsters of themselves. So when they go through their ascension process, they're going to come out monsters. The problem is you don't recognize these monsters because you're looking at people. You're not looking at the essence or entity that is operating that vessel. So you see a person, so you're blinded with the human, aspect of this life. But monsters are walking our planet right now. Not everyone is in the heavenly version of their self. A lot of people are in the hell version of their self. That's why you see, and you can base it off of what they talk about. You can tell who's in the heaven of their self and who's in the hell of their self because their conversation will speak it. They'll talk like it. A lot of people talk deaf, low vibrational. You can hear it on their tongue if you're listening. If you got that ear of truth, you can hear it.
Order. On February 22, 2022, our planetary system begins the cosmic clock Ryush initiation of the central seed of the higher heart, or the cosmic emerald sun awakening into the path of the Yukatharista. The universal time matrix begins to open the density locks leading directly into the higher inner God world realms, which begins to flood Cosmic Mother's aquamarine blue ray source of zero-point flames from within the diamond heart of the cosmic clock shield network. This planetary initiation is essentially the first God world creation, announcing to the universal inhabitants that the cycle for the return of the Emerald Order founders is commencing through the embodiment of the authentic Emerald Order identities that are the original Christos founders of this system. The Emerald Tree of Life merges into the cosmic clock Templar within the newly birthed Emerald Suns, sourced from the core heart spirals of aquamarine and emerald rays flowing from the first God world creation. The magnitude of this cosmic Emerald Order ascension event to awaken the planetary Yukatharista is hard for our minds to fathom. Cosmic Amorie Shield.
See, and that's why I say, like, a lot of this stuff is very important, because you have to realize that we are shifting in densities, right? So they're telling you like time is changing. They're telling you like it seems like the Earth's core is going in reverse. They're telling you like it seems like something is opening up to us, so on and so forth, right? And this is why I say, like, when you're listening to the TV, it's called channeling, right? You're changing the channel. But when you're talking about frequencies, it's called stations, right? When you're dealing with frequencies, it's stations. So you can change your station of identity, right? A lot of people don't realize that their conscious is going through stations of identity, right? So somebody is messing with your stations, which is causing a change in your identity. A lot of y'all might be going through what they call identity crisis. Let's listen.
For human beings, these consciousness bodies exist throughout the densities and are aspects of the higher self and light body. These aspects are called the stations of identity. In the first harmonic universe in 1D-2D-3D exists the three layers of the personality matrix or incarnated human. In the second harmonic universe in 4D-5D-6D exists the three layers of the soul matrix. In the third harmonic universe in 7D-8D-9D exists the three layers of the monadic matrix. In the fourth harmonic universe in 10D-11D-12D exists the three layers of the Christos avatar matrix. In the fifth harmonic universe in 13D-14D-15D exists the three layers of the Rishi matrix or threefold founder flame or GSF flame.
Now, in order to break this down to you easily, right? Instead of you looking at the words that are soul matrix, Kratos avatars, harmonic universe, 10D, all of these things, right? Let's break it down to a simpler way of saying, like, these are stations of identities. Okay. So in the first three stages of the stations of identity lies your personal matrix. This is what makes up your personal mind. This is what gives you you. This is what makes you you, right? Anything outside of your personal matrix, the 3D, the first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, which makes up our material plane, right? Anything outside of that changes densities, right? And this is where a conscious mind comes in. You can't fathom the things that are in the conscious mind inside your personal mind. Personally, you're going to add all of your endeavors to it. Personally, you're going to add what you believe and what you went through and what you experienced and so on and so forth. So if they keep you in that 3D dimension, you can't go into the higher parts of what I'm speaking on. Kundalini ascension, understanding the fragments of us being the same story of, the gods and how they, time is just broken down and split, and all of us are reincarnations of these different things, right? You can't see that in a personal mind. Personally, it's material and you only have one body, one life to live, all of that stuff, so on and so forth. Outside of that, this is where you get into your mental or your spiritual, your soul avatar or soul conscious, your soul matrix. This is a different dimension. The physical can't go into these dimensions. This is where astro projecting all these different storylines that they tell you about, right? They can't go into that. A lot of people can't get into these dimensions unless they have a collective. See, Mariah Carey, certain other people, Beyonce, Jay-Z, some of these other famous people, they stay in these higher echelons of dimensions because they have attention put on them, right? Other people's intent is put on them. And then you have the ones who bank on fear, right? Such as the Diddy's, Lucius Grange, all of these other low vibrational entities that put fear in the world, and they rise to a higher level based off of that, right? So there is levels to this, but one's true ascension comes with understanding that you don't have to harm or bring harm or stop anybody else from ascending in order to achieve these greater things. This is what Christ was teaching people. He was teaching people you don't have to sell out in order to achieve these great things, in order to achieve, a greater name for yourself, in order to achieve for the people to know you, so on and so forth. You don't have to do wickedness, right? It's almost like someone who, used blood sacrifice their whole life, and then you tell them, hey, there's a better way. Well, they're not going to give in to that because now it takes away everything that they already been through in order to get where they at, right? So they can't do that because now they got to look back at everything they've been through and regret all of it. You mean to tell me I didn't have to take my mom's out? You mean to tell me I didn't have to do this? They go, nah, fuck that. It ain't no better way. You got to go through this shit how I went through this shit. You get what I'm saying? One's in the chat again if you understand what I just said. So when you get into the heart, the light body, and so on and so forth, this is where aura comes from. And everything practices a duality down here. So in the duality of aura, you can see what they implemented, right? So instead of us actually knowing what a true aura is, right, they put false characters out there like Kai Cenat, Duke Dennis, Rakai, all of them young kids who changed the name of aura and made it seem like your swag was considered aura. Oh, you dress nice, you got a lot of aura. Oh, you rocking that Dolce and Gabbana, you got some aura, right? So they took what we classified as swag and they took the spiritual term aura and they turned it into a carnal term. That's the duality of this. So everything that we have in spirituality, they're going to make it a carnal term. That's the duality of it because it's their mockery of us. Oh, you want to use that word as spirituality? Well, we're going to turn it into this. Remember, the term Christians was used to ridicule people who follow Christ. And then they turned it into a word of endearment. So they can continue laughing at us because we don't know the truth about where that word came from. So when you consider yourself a Christian, those who know the true history, they're laughing because they know that they brought that word about as a way to ridicule those who follow Christ. If you go back to the pagan story of it, right? So those who are of pagans and of pagan descent, they're laughing at Christians because they know, hey, we brought that word, to ridicule y'all, right? It's the same thing as the N word. Right? We use that word on each other as endurement, and then YT people laugh at us for using that word on each other because they use it to ridicule us. Ironically, that's the same thing that happened with Christian. So it's funny how all of this actually plays out because when you actually bear your cross, you let go all of these things that tie you to history and that tie you to feelings and emotions. I'm able to speak how I'm able to speak because I'm not tied to the feelings and emotions that comes with man's history. See, a lot of y'all tie yourself to the feelings and emotions that comes with combing through history. This is why Trump can go to the Museum of America and say, "Oh, we need to change this because this makes white people come out sad after they go in here." What the fuck? History is history. It should not have a feeling or emotion attached to it. You know what I mean? Well, you telling me that we should change the history to appease the feelings and emotions of a group. That's nasty work. That is nasty work. That we are rewriting history just to appease feelings and emotions. No wonder why Hitler said, when black people find out what the Jews really did, World War III will truly begin. And Hitler said that in 1932, right? He also said, don't worry about the black race, for the black race will destroy themselves. And here we are. Both things stand true. Because now Candace Owens is exposing the hands, French hands, Jewish hands, that is behind the assassination of Charlie Clerk. So that's one thing that stands true with what Hitler said many, many years ago, right? And black people are destroying themselves. And if the Rizzy situation didn't point that out to you, then I don't know what else has to go through to point out that Hitler and all of his wickedness and fuckery made 2 points that still stand true to this day. I'm starting to think maybe he really wasn't the bad guy. They just painted a picture of him like he was the bad guy. Maybe he wasn't trying to actually do the things that they said he did. Maybe that was just what the winners depicted the story to be. I kept on trying to figure out, why would someone that's half Jewish try to destroy Jews? And then they said it was because he hated his mother. I really dug into that, because we share the same birthday, April 20th. Because I looked up my birthday and it was like, that's what came up, like, oh, the day Hitler was born. It's like a blasphemous day, you know what I mean? Because he was born on that day. So I looked it up, and I dug into it, and I was just like, this is intriguing, to say the least.
The auroras are opalescent white fields of beautiful tapestries of cellophane-like colored plasma. Many of us are noticing them as an adjunct or override to our 12D shield, as they create an additional 4 main pillars around our aura. This is being referred to as the aurora pillars or aurora body. This aurora body protects the gold monad body and aligns the entire organism energy field to the system within the aurora-hosted ascension networks. The aurora network is starting to generate massive fields of orbs that are visible near our aura body personal field. It seems apparent to understand they are now coming to us in orb bodies, as once we have anchored the aurora crystal star pattern, we will learn to build our Merkaba structure to move in between dimensions. This is what an plasma orb body is. From our dimensional vantage point, it looks like an orb, however it is an actual living entity or elemental. The aurora body seems to be a step taking us to learn how to build our Merkaba pattern and become a traveling orb. This give us our freedom back, as it's clear the controllers are not able to circumvent this from happening.
But that's why they don't speak on the bunkers that they found in Antarctica with the diary that he had in it. But that's neither here nor there. But so all of us have an aurora body that's around our physical body, right? We all have an aurora body that's around our physical body. So if we get into this, right, and we will get into this, right, they tell you about a planet called Nibiru, right? One's in the chat if you're familiar with the planet Nibiru, right? They tell you about this planet Nibiru, right? But what if I was to tell you that the planet Nibiru is not off our planet? It's not a planet somewhere else. What if I was to tell you that the planet Nibiru is considered to be a grid that is up under our planet, that is based off of chakras, crystals, and frequencies? And it is being, controlled by this. It was considered to be a frequency fence, if you would say. Nibiru is an electronic frequency fence. A lot of brilliant minds have tapped into the knowledge of this, knowing about the free electric and so on and so forth. They tell you about this, but they push them out after they learn about this stuff. You ain't going, you know what I mean? People will come after you if you try to tell people that energy is free.
The net, Nibiru electrostatic transduction field, 1, was anchored into Earth using the NDC and Nibiru Crystal Temple Network during the Luciferian Rebellion, 25,500 BC. By impinging scalar sonic pulses at the Earth's inner grid system, an interference pattern or electrostatic force field was created, enshrouding the Earth. This net has the effect of buffering, stopping, incoming and outgoing signals, in particular to the higher dimensions, Guardian founder races ETs, etc., creating a kind of quarantine. It blankets the civilization, isolating it from its natural connections to its inner consciousness and spiritual levels, and this field system interfaces naturally with man's existence and constitutes a holographic insert. Surveillance of the Illuminati by the crystal star families is also blocked due to the cloaking and scrambling effect it causes, false readings. Many starseeds are here to be on the ground for reconnaissance work. This astral plane, fourth dimensional. Addiction webbing. And false ascension matrix net is said to be an astral mess. It was fortified in 9558 BC and has since been progressively blocking all natural communications to and from Earth. Preparations have been made by the Anunnaki to lower the net from the astral plane into physical matter, which will then form a frequency fence and present easy mind control over the population during the ascension cycle. 2000-2017. These nets are black hole technologies that were created in Atlantean cataclysm to keep Earth and her life forms in a prison planet. The net fields keep the DNA block locked in. The net is connected to the hibernation zones.
Did you hear what it said? It says to keep the DNA block locked in. So the dome that they're speaking about, this dome, it's actually a net that is blocking out certain light and frequencies in order to keep our DNA trapped into 3 strands of operation. For if the right sun or if the right light actually hits our body, we will operate in more strands of our DNA. So our RNA will awaken in our body. This is why I say men have to go through, the sun has to, so inside of our body, the RNA. So it's like the sun, the mother earth, the mother goddess, whatever you want to call it. She's calling for that RNA awakening in our body. And they're doing everything to block the RNA awakening in our body. Why do you think in 2021 or something like that, they sent melanin into space to see how it will respond to the sun? Do you guys remember that? Huh? Yeah, they sent melanin into space. Okay. So we got to get into this, right? The beast machine, so on and so forth. Oh, times are changing, people. Times are changing. Love is love. Namaste. I say salutations when I tell you times are changing. This is where that Armageddon software comes in. This is where the Jaguar effect comes in. If you actually look up the Jaguar effect, is an effect that takes place amongst the people once you have someone out there of Jaguar magnitude that is pushing out all of these false conspiracy theories. Then it becomes a wave, because they repeat it so much, right? So in the time of ascension, we were supposed to be careful of the things that we were speaking off of our tongue, because so many repetitions of something can bring it to light. So they have tried this. Think about it. Jaguar Wright's been online since 2020, spilling this false narrative. And then 3 years later, that's when it all falls out, after so many repetitions of it. She wasn't saying this in 2017 when she wrote that book, because she said Jay-Z was a perfect gentleman. But during COVID, the time of, of that, where we have to be so many feet away from each other and all of this other stuff, then she comes out with a story so dramatic that's tied to so much trauma and so on and so forth, and it's tied to so many Black people, and it's tied to the stories of our past and how hip-hop was created, and she falsified everything. Everything is fucked up. You're a plant. We know you're a plant. All these people from Epstein Island, all these people from P. Diddy's island, they all got out and they're all running wild now. They all running wild. She's a handler. Just no better than um what you call him, Carter's mom, whatever her name was. Ali, whatever her name is, whatever her name is. Hold on. Hold on. Let's take a music break real quick. Let's listen to a song real quick.
Is wrong when I speak. You say you're listening. When will you ever hear me? Love is love, love is love. Always is, always was, will always be just love. Always complete, always enough. Love is love, love is love. Always is, always was, will always be just love. Always complete, always enough. Love is love. Was your heart ever my home? So cold that chaos sits on your throne. Stuck in a loop for how long? Your pride convinced that right is wrong. When I speak, you say you're listening. When will you ever hear me? Love is love, love is love. Always is, always was, will always be just love. Always complete, always enough. Love is love, love is love. Always is, always was, will always be just love. Always complete, always enough. Love is love.
So yeah, so things are about to get shaky. You know, we might have big events taking place within the next couple of days. Um, you know, w- and I don't want anybody to like, try to, however you say, like, make it out to be like, oh, this is happening, that's happening, right? This is something that was put in place a long time ago to happen. If you go back to Cronus, Kronos being, his father and being the god of war, so on and so forth, you can see all of this stuff being manipulated in it. Uranus, speaking about Uranus is one of those anonymies, if you would say. Nobody really knows what Uranus represents, but Uranus rules the Aquarius sky. So in the time of the Aquarius, Uranus is the planet that rules the Aquarius sky. And a lot of people might not know the operation of Uranus or what it does or what it is, but I think it's funny. They say, do God have a sense of humor? I think God has a sense of humor, because think about it. In the time of water, he put your ass in charge. You know what I'm saying? We're under the Aquarius sky, and Uranus is the ruling planet of the Aquarius sky. That is funny. That is funny. If you don't see the comedy in that, boy, I'm telling you, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. He put it in there. It's funny.
collectives that they use
Of
for
course, y'all don't know what all of this stuff is
redirected
that
from
they're talking
Kronos.
about. Like all the stuff that they're saying, like you might not even know.
During the Uranus alignment in late January, the
Orion
rotational
belt
axis
blast,
shifted in the Uranus
all of
planet.
this stuff, like the Uranus planet, um, how important it is, the different energies, why this planet froze over, why Hawaii is so important. This goes back to Lumeria. If you go back into the story of like Zeus, so on and so forth, this is why you had what took place in Hawaii. That's why I say history is so funny. Like I seen all of this as I studied some of this stuff, as I put together some of this stuff. I seen all of this, the Maui Do blast, all of this stuff happening, this Mars effect taking over, so on and so forth. Zeus, Jupiter, being Christ, all of this stuff. I seen it already. I seen it already. That's why I sit back and I laugh at a lot of people because they don't know the things that I have already seen. And I can't really uh show them it. You know what I mean? I try to articulate the things as much as possible to give understanding, but you have to understand it. You can't understand it because understanding you're going to go through the same stages that they put in your mind through an experiment, right? You're going to state the hypothesis, so on and so forth, all of that stuff.
The name Uranus references the ancient Greek deity of the sky Uranus, ancient Greek, Omicron Rho Alpha Nu, known as Salus in Roman mythology, the father of Cronus, Saturn, grandfather of Zeus, Jupiter, and the great-grandfather of Ares, Mars, which was rendered as Uranus in Latin, IPA, Urans. It is the only one of the 8 planets whose English name derives from a figure of Greek mythology. Uranus is called by a variety of names in other languages. Uranus's name is literally translated as the Sky King Star in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese, Sa Thien Vong. In Thai, its official name is Dao Uranat, as in English. Its other name in Thai is Dao Meruateu, Star of Mtyu, after the Sanskrit word for death, Mrityu. In Mongolian, its name is Tendurian Van, translated as King of the Sky, reflecting its namesake god's role as the ruler of the heavens. In Hawaiian, its name is Helikala, the Hawaiian rendering of the name Herschel. In Maori, its name is Warangi.
Now, the reason why I wanted you guys to hear that is because Uranus is Zeus, Jupiter, so on and so forth. It's the father of all of that. So if the old gods awaken, if old storylines is back, then Uranus is the ruler of the Aquarius sky. See, when we were under the other sky, Saturn sky, whatever sky we just now came out of, there was a different ruler for that sky. So now that we're under the Aquarius sky, the ruler of that sky is Uranus. And that goes back to the many names of Uranus. Ironically, he has the same name as Christ, the Sky King, Morning Star, so on and so forth. If you go back to 2024, April roughly, they said that Lucifer's comet had entered back into the Lyran constellation. And because of that, we've seen an effect take place in our Iboralis, right? So we are seeing the morning star return. That's probably why they came out with a movie called Don't Look Up. And a lot of people stopped looking up after that. But that's probably, we seen the morning star return to the Lyran constellation with Lucifer's comet. And now we're seeing Atlas, 3-eye Atlas, ironically, 3-eye Atlas, your third eye. So if it's pumping a signal down here, then it's pumping a signal that is awakening your third eye, that is basically, affecting your chakra systems. That's why we're seeing so much reveal itself, so much is revealing itself right now. And everybody want to be blind to what's revealing itself. No, I want to open my eyes to this. Yeah, I want to see this. I've been waiting for this. This is what I've been waiting for.
In culture. In astrology, the planet Uranus, symbol Uranus's astrological symbol, is the ruling planet of Aquarius. Because Uranus is cyan and Uranus is associated with electricity, the color electric blue, which is close to cyan, is associated with the sign Aquarius. The chemical element uranium, discovered in 1789 by the German chemist Martin Heinrich Klaproth, was named after the then newly discovered Uranus. Lydia Sigourney included her poem The Georgian Planet in her 1827 collection of poetry. Uranus, the Magician, is a movement in Gustav Holst's orchestral suite The Planets, written between 1914 and 1916. Operation Uranus was the successful military operation in World War II by the Red Army to take back Stalingrad and mark the turning point in the land war against the Wehrmacht. The lines, "Then felt I like some watcher of the skies" / "When a new planet swims into his ken," from John Keats's On First Looking into Chapman's Homer, are a reference to Herschel's discovery of Uranus. 5.
So you notice how all of this, is basically like saying the same thing. Like, and you notice like the play on words, turning point, so on and so forth. If you look at the dates, the planet written between 1914 and 1916, right? There's a reason why certain variations of our history is lost at a certain point. When you're constantly rewriting history, you're going to lose track of time. That's why during certain points of time, when changing to the Gregorian calendar, right? That's why they have Wednesdays that jump to Thursdays, but Wednesday was the second, and then Thursday was like the 15th or something. But nobody knows where those days went. Nobody knows they changed dates and times, to hide something, and allegedly we can't say what it is that they're trying to hide, but maybe it has something to do with the growth and development of our DNA. Maybe it has something to do with all these storylines that they constantly push, day in and day out, right? It tells you Uranus is visible by the naked eye, but is very dim and was not classified as a planet until 1781, when it was first observed by William Herschel, about 7 decades after the discovery was reached, that the planet named after the Greek god Uranus, one of the Greek primitive deities. As of 2024, it had been visited up close only once, when in 1986 the Voyager 2 probe flew by the planet, right? And that's just telling you like the storyline of it, right? Because remember, in our books, Uranus was considered to be the 9th planet. Uranus was considered to be the 9th planet. Or no, that's Pluto. Pluto was the 9th planet. Then Pluto came out and wasn't a planet at all. You know what I mean? But Uranus was, turned out that it was supposedly, something that was like, oh, it was just a moon or something like that, and it got pushed in our orbit, and all of this took place during the Big Bang, and so on and so forth. But they don't really know the significance of these planets, of these continents. They don't know what energy forces are pushing through these planets. I started looking at some of the planets, and I was like, why do these planets have attributes? Why do these planets have, and it was like saying that these was the energies that were being pushed into our plane from these planets. A lot of these planets was pushing different variations of energies towards the center, or we were drawing energies of this, which ultimately leads back to like feelings and emotions, right? So like when you get back into alchemy and stuff like that, like, and you go back into like what is the Aquarius sky, there's a lot of frequencies, harmonies, and so on and so forth that one needs to understand that is happening right now in the Aquarius sky. We are under the Aquarius sky right now. The book tell you don't be afraid of this new sky, just follow the person with the fishbowl on his head, so on and so forth, if you read it in the book. But this is the operation of the Aquarius sky, and we're in that operation right now. But I want you guys to listen, and this is why I brought up Lucifer's comet returning back to the Lyran constellations. This goes back to like why I brought up Maui and Hawaii, you know, the stargates that are there and certain variations of different, you know, secrets, disclosure. And this is what true conspiracy theorists dig into. This is what we actually was digging into, you know, learning different variations of frequencies and different variations of stuff like this. We wasn't worried about where somebody was putting their genital areas. We were actually digging into, you know, magnetospheres, learning about, you know, different stuff like that. So I just want to bring back, you know, a true conspiracy theorist. You know what I mean? I don't want y'all to get confused with the gossip that's going on and say that's conspiracy theorists. No, that's gossip. Know the difference between gossip and conspiracy theorists. You know what I mean?
During the move into Aquarius solar alchemy, it is positive to review the natural laws and alchemical properties for this current stage in order to reflect upon the most potent and effective ways we can participate with and meditate upon the natural elements of the solar zodiacal influences to catalyze our highest spiritual potentials. Stage 12, Aquarius, February 16th to March 11, 1. Alchemical theme, multiplication, virtues. Element, air, fixed, positive. Geometric form, upward pointing triangle bisected by a horizontal line. Planetary correlations, Uranus and solar logos. Alchemical metal, uranium. Stargates, inner gate and island of Kauai, Hawaii, and its underground link up into the south of France, Montsegur. Galactic and universal gates, Sun, GSG, and Lyra, Arimatina. Embodied correlations, the avatar or nirvanic mind of solar logos body. The 12D white body of the Christos avatar. The 12D white wave of the third layer of the solar logos avatar body that is connected to the 12th chakra. The avatar body function is to connect the Earth star chakra in the base shield that transmits the platinum liquid light blueprint for the diamond sun body of the avatar Christ. The Earth star, when it has been activated to run 12D ray current, is located approximately 6 inches below the feet and connects into the base of the 12D Christos shield. It connects into the 12th dimension in the future timelines and is the 12D ray of the Christ mind. Once the 12D ray has been activated, the God-sovereign free triad or threefold founder flame is ignited within the center of the horizontal base of the 12D shield, which supports the continuation of safe progression through the ascension cycle during the planetary liberation of the Earth. Service to the One is its own reward. Aquarius rules, ankles, lower limbs, shins, spiritualization of blood, circulatory system, 2.
So, you know, when you get back into this, this is why they had the as above, so below concept, because if we are to look in the sky, there is a constellation that is considered to be Hercules. And we know the story of Hercules to be of a demigod. But at the foot of Hercules lies a golden gate, right? And ironically, as above, so below, if you go back into the history, we had a pillar down here that was shaped like Hercules, and it was the feet of Hercules, and that was supposed to remind people of the entry point of the Golden Gate, which is supposed to be the reincarnation gate of the gods. Now, somehow there was a silver gate that was created. That silver gate is reincarnation through man's gate. So man, and this is where the whole God created man in his image, so on and so forth. The silver gate is God's gate, and then man's gate was created, which is considered to be the sun. You get what I'm saying? So God is the golden gate, and then he created his son in his image. So you can reincarnate through God, or you can reincarnate through the son, because he's made in his image. But somebody blocked us from knowing about the golden gate and just told us about the son's gate. So all of us reincarnated through man's gate. Does that make sense? One's in the chat if that makes sense. We stopped going through God's gate, through the Father's gate, and we started going through the threshold of the gate of man. So we reincarnated through that. If we were still reincarnating through the Golden Gate, we would know the fragments, the stories of all of things that was, and always will be, because our reincarnation process will be different. Yeah, we might not reincarnate back down here on this plane. We'll reincarnate wherever gods reincarnate. I'm not sure, because I never reincarnated through that gate. At least I don't know that I reincarnated through that gate. Or did I reincarnate it through that gate? Thus far, taking a piece of this dimension and changing it, shifting it. We don't really know how this works. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, but there's dimensions in the mind. This is why they tell you that according to what they know, Einstein was in a 15% of usage of his brain, where the average person is only in use of 5. Yes, the whole brain is active, but you're only in use of 5% of it, so on and so forth. There's half of your brain that's active during the sleep state and half that's active during the wake state. But there's a way to activate both states of the brain at the same time. They just don't know how to do it, or did we forget how to do it? Or did they lower something in our DNA that stopped us from being able to achieve these different variations of abilities? Because if there's 144 chromosomes that's broken down into 12 strands of DNA, then that will explain why the 144 will awaken, and that will explain why everybody is going through a change or a shift within inside their own vessel. Because something is changing, or something is waking up, or something is reminding us that something is greater. We just too stubborn to actually sit down and have that conversation with ourselves to realize the change, to know. So we're trying to keep ourselves busy so we don't have to deal with it, if that makes sense. It's like we do it to ourselves. Like, it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna keep myself distracted. I'll just work 2 jobs. I'll just keep working, and then I won't have to deal with it. I'll just keep working. You know. But the Aquarius guy is here. It's considered to be the water bearer. You go back into the storyline of it, and it's all right here. You just have to be willing to be still and actually listen.
Aquarius, the water bearer or carrier, is found in a region often called the sea due to its profusion of constellations with watery associations such as Cetus the whale, Pisces the fish, and Eridanus the river. Despite both its prominent position on the zodiac and its large size, Aquarius has no particularly bright stars, its 4 brightest stars being less than magnitude 2. However, recent research has shown that there are several stars lying within its borders that possess planetary systems. The 2 brightest stars, Alpha and Beta Aquarii, are luminous yellow supergiants. 3.
Now think about that. When you go back to Christ and go back to stories of Christ, you go back to Alpha and Beta, right? Now you have the Aquarius, the water bearer, relations to the Bible and relations to the water bearer, because you were supposed to follow the man with the fishbowl on his head, so on and so forth, which comes during the Aquarius sky, however you look at it, right? And now you go back to Christ and what Christ was talking about at that time, and they said, like, you had the Alpha and the Beta, and Christ was asked the question. The teacher told him that he was going to teach him about the Alpha, and Christ said, if you teach me about the Alpha, I'll teach you about the Beta, right? This goes back to Aquarion. This goes back to that supergiant. This goes back to the story of, Superman. They say on Superman's planet, there's 2 suns. There's 2 suns. What did it just tell you? That there are 2 illuminated yellow supergiants. The 2 brightest stars, 2 supergiants, right? And here we are with all of these stories, all of these stories, right? And what did Superman argue? Superman said that he was down here to be a greater service to others. His parents taught him that he was supposed to be a greater service to others. He was supposed to save. He was supposed to teach. He was supposed to show this example. And then what happened with Superman, right? He had to, live 2 different lives. He had to live as Clark Clint, and then he had to live as Superman, you know? Because surely if they knew who he was, what would happen? They will come against him. Nobody really came against Clark Clint. They came against Superman.
The process of multiplication involves the concentrated absorption of the inner Christos solar light that activates spiritual powers of higher virtues and ethics that emanate blessings onto others and into the environment, which is associated with Aquarius solar alchemy. It involves the alchemical process that greatly increases the focused refinement and energetic effectiveness of the individual's solar consciousness as an energetic sphere of influence that manifests through the embodied biological spiritual light source. Christ is often used to demonstrate the Aquarian alchemical concept that God is the master of multiplication, which could be performed infinitely through the spiritual potency of one's inner light source being multiplied to perform service to others or offer divine blessings. To multiply something, it first must be blessed in the natural laws of God, with the sincere intention of generously giving something to another, such as offering a divine service of spontaneous spiritual healing or contributing to the greater good of all involved. To multiply something in order to freely offer it as a holy blessing and gift for others. Yet, with God's gift of multiplication of holy blessings when demonstrated through the inner Christ light, the greater the responsibility becomes in order to maintain divine alignment and personal integrity. As with the embodiment themes of Aquarian solar alchemy, the divine blessings greatly multiply spiritual power in this material world, which simultaneously multiplies assorted difficulties along with an increase of critics and detractors. Therefore, the gifts of multiplication come with many hard spiritual lessons. To master in the world, as when under dark spiritual attack, we must always act in right alignment, right action, and with integrity, regardless of what others may say or think. During this ascension stage, the previous life stream's records in the blood are being purified from accumulated karmic ancestral records. Thus, the blood becomes spiritualized within its chemistry, spontaneously generating abundant blessings of holy spiritual virtues and divine gifts. This is why the guardians refer to the spirits of Christ as Christic attributes of powerful spiritual virtues that act to multiply blessings and abundance for all of those who come in contact with it.
See, like that's why I say like there's a lot of energy that's being pushed back into this world. There's a lot of stuff that's happening right now, spiritual stuff. Um, a lot of people ain't taking heed to it. A lot of people already fell victim to the false. If you look at, how everybody's looking at it, I remember, last year, Maggie saying something like, "Oh, Beverly, the savior." I was like, "What the fuck? How? How did she become the savior? How are y'all looking at, but all of them got this concept put in their mind of who they're trying to paint to be the face of spirituality, but we never had the rights to dictate that. Those rights was always given to, or brought by the universe. Who was given to be in a great example of mankind was never chosen by mankind. Mankind will surely pick someone in their image or likeness that favors them. That's why we see so many idols that are of wickedness or of, whatever, because that's the type of society that we live in. They idolized each other or idolized their, own image, in a way. So when you look at this, it's like negative did begot negative, wicked did begot wicked. You know, they're all there. But the truth is revealing itself and great things is happening. So I look forward to that. Look forward to the change, look forward to everything. Um, Everything that's happening is going to turn out beautiful. Love and light wins. In the meantime, in between time, remember one's image of oneself should be greater than reality. If nobody told you that they love you today, let me be the first but not the last to tell you that I love you. Um, you know, and be great, be great. Mm.
You said I'd be a star and go far, but you lied. Instead, you made me do shameful things while you held all the strings, and I cried. It's inconceivable and unbelievable, the type of demon it's given. It's given evil and diabolical, so there will be no forgiving. It's time for me to go, go another way. Get away now, so I'ma let you know. Oh, I'm gonna get away. Gotta get away now. You said it was easy.